Hello everybody, it's Dan Cooper with Engadget. We are here at the Consumer Electronics Show, and this is an Editor's Choice segment where I get to show you what I think has been the greatest, best innovation here at CES. And I think it's this. Now, on one side, it's a hairbrush, and on the other side, it's an iPhone case. And what this means is that once you've done your hair, you flip it round, and you can start taking selfies with it. Come on, let that sink in. No, I'm kidding. Of course I'm kidding. Joining me on the far end there is Nicole Lee, also Hello. With Engadget. And in the middle here, we've got Martin from Cambridge Consultants. Duncan. Oh, dear, that's terribly unprofessional, isn't it?
That's okay. I'm Duncan, not Martin, but that's fine.
Do you know what it is? It's the selfie brush. It dazzled me.
So, I thought you were giving me the best intro ever there, with the best innovation you'd seen at the show.
So, moving quickly on, swiftly on.
Can I call you Doris?
Yes, you can. You can call me worse than that if you want. Cambridge Consultants, just for those people who don't know, it's a sort of freelance mad science division for lots of different companies.
That's a nice way of putting it. We're an outsourced R&D company is the dull way of putting it, but we develop products for lots of companies and lots of brands in different markets like consumer, medical, industrial. So here we are at CES showing off some of our consumer products.
So, and obviously the gadget that I genuinely do think is brilliantly innovative is what you're wearing. Not the polo shirt, but the shirt beneath it. With the red fiber optics running down it. Yeah. So why don't you take us through what it is?
So this is XL Flex, which is a new wearable sensor we've developed, which is actually came from an idea in a pub. So
as all good ideas do.
A lot of good ideas comes from the pub. So in the sports and fitness market, there's a strong trend towards not just measuring the performance of an athlete or a consumer, but actually trying to give them feedback to improve their technique. And there's as you will have seen if you've been around the show, there are an awful lot of wrist devices. There's an awful lot of wristbands.
Yep.
But there's only so much you can measure with a wristband. So, for example, if you're doing a tennis serve, you can't really tell how much you're performing on the whole service. You can just measure a small amount of it. So we were kind of wondering about this. And in the pub one day, I was chatting to one of my colleagues who works in the oil and gas industry, and he's because we develop products for them as well. And he's got this amazing sensor technology which allows you to measure oil pipes very, very accurately to measure their pressure. And I was kind of challenging him to say, what if we make this really, really cheap, make it out of plastic fiber and just drive it with low-cost consumer electronics? What could we do with it? Could we put it in clothing to allow you to do body motion capture very cheaply? And we were like, yeah, maybe that would work. And we drew it on the back of a napkin and we went away to the lab and we built a prototype. And that's what we're showing today.
So when we talk about motion capture, I guess there's two different things that you can do with it. Firstly, there's being able to track and monitor a body. So in the same way that, you know, in movies when you have CGI characters, and I think everyone's seen pictures of Andy Serkis with ping pong balls all over him, this is basically a way to do that without the ping pong balls, without the millions of cameras.
No ping pong balls, that's right. So it's basically there's a huge gap between those sort of relatively cheap wristbands and the cost required for that full motion body capture, which requires either lots of fixed cameras or lots of MEMS sensors, lots of electronics built into the fabric. And electronics in fabric isn't ideal because of washability, and also there's a lot of gadgets that are being designed by electronic engineers rather than fashion designers. So this is an attempt to bridge that gap. And what we've done is we built, if you look at the optical fiber here, you can see it's just a plastic fiber that's
the red line that we can see
buried in the fabric,
and you can running up and down the shirt there.
Yeah, and it's just plastic fiber that can be embedded into a fabric. Right. And so someone who actually can design clothes can design maybe a golf shirt that would allow you to measure your golf swing very, very accurately, and then get real-time feedback from an app telling you how to improve your swing. Same for tennis. You could have a tennis app which showed you how to improve your service in real time, so like a virtual coach.
And there's lots of fitness applications for this, because anything that involves measuring the movement of your body can be done now with unprecedented detail for the price.
That's right. Yeah, this is cents per meter, this kind of fiber, so it can be integrated into garments that, you know, if you're a skier and you want to improve your ski technique, you're willing to spend $200 or $300 on a ski jacket that will help your ski technique, and that's the kind of cost that this technology could be.
I guess my concern would be comfort. Like, is it really comfortable to wear and to move around in?
Yeah, it's just, you can feel it. It's just like
regular fiber. Yeah.
It's like a fiber. It's like we can stitch it into a seam, and you won't even notice you're wearing it.
Cool.
So it works by it works for the clever bit, which Martin came up with, is that it works by a pulse of light which goes down the fiber, and then we measure the backscatter from the end of the fiber, and when I bend my elbow or my wrist, that backscatter changes, and we can detect that and turn that into a motion capture on a smartphone.
And also, you haven't got it with you now, but actually, the company can actually, there's like a tablet app where you're moving like this, and the on-screen graphic is your arm digitally moving in the same
in real time.
So if, for instance, you were lifting a weight or doing a bit of strength training or a golf swing or anything like that, and you were doing it wrong, it would be able to tell you instantly.
Exactly. You know when you're being coached by a coach and the coach tells you to do something uncomfortable that you really don't want to do, but you know it's good for your technique. It's that sort of thing. It'll be able to help you hone your technique very accurately.
In terms of the challenges as well, because I guess we're still sufficiently early.
Yeah.
So what is left to do before this is a finished product, as it were?
I think there's work to do on the robustness of it. So obviously this is a prototype. You can tell it's not quite finished yet. So there's work to do on the robustness. There's also work to do. Currently the electronics pack for it is about the size of a tablet, whereas we want to get it down to a credit card size so that it can slip into a pocket. And that requires some more engineering, some more integration. And so that's all work that we would normally do as part of a product development.
I see. And in terms of, so obviously you're measuring the movement of your arm now.
Yeah.
Can you do, I mean, how much detail can you do? Can it go across the chest? Could you do shorts with legs? I mean, what's the limits of this?
There's not really any limits because it's based on a high-end technology that we've brought from the oil and gas industry down to the consumer industry. If you wanted to do something that was more accurate or had more sensors, we know we can scale it back up again reliably. So it's just a matter of engineering the product and doing the design of the clothing. So I think the limits. One of the nice things about it is you can get multiple sensors per fiber. So you see I've got a wrist and an elbow sensor here. That's down the same fiber. So we think we can do between 5 and 10 sensors per fiber. So if you want to do a whole bodysuit, you probably need more than one, which would make the electronics a bit bigger. But basically it's scalable up to whatever the application is. So, and we certainly would be interested in doing things like chest. Someone was talking to us about yoga. I've never done yoga, but apparently yoga is, it would be very helpful for yoga to be able to give you real-time feedback on your posture. The other really odd application someone came up with was for sword fighting. Apparently there's somebody who does a lot of sword fighting and thought maybe that we could track their arm while they were fighting, and then they asked me whether if they were being sat on by 12 large men, whether that would also be able to detect that. So
I'm not sure that was was a technology question. I think that was just we're in Vegas, I'm going to ask you. Maybe that's a very site-specific request, but
yeah, you never know.
And in terms of just probably a last question before we wrap up, washing it, because obviously we're talking about fiber optic technology. How easy is it to stick it in the washing machine?
Yeah, so it's a plastic fiber, and we deliberately picked a thin plastic fiber that wouldn't affect how you feel, but also that its temperature is okay for washing, okay for drying, so it can be stitched into the fabric like any other.
Could you make it into a swimsuit?
That'd be good, wouldn't it? And then you could track your swimming technique. Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Tron goes swimming. Because obviously you do look a bit like an extra from Tron wearing with the side lights and everything. It's cool though.
Well, yeah, maybe the other thing we've got to do this year is a lot of testing. So I think when I come back next year, I'll hopefully be a lot fitter than I am this year.
That sounds good. So if you want to find out more information, we wrote a lot of kind things about it on Engadget.com. You can also check out the Cambridge Consultants website, which is?
CambridgeConsultants.com.
That sounds fantastic. Now we're done for the minute, but please stay tuned because there's loads more stuff coming from the CES stage here at Engadget, and have a good day.